Yes, I am.
Yeah, well.
It's recording.
Oh, there's got to be a bunch of them. I know. I put up with a lot. Hanging out with him, trust me. I don't give a crap. Doesn't bother me.
Welcome to Liberty Fest. It is 2009, but really this is Liberty Fest 2000. It's for the 2008 Liberty Awards because basically at the completion of 2008, we really know who's done tasks that are award worthy in 2008. And this year actually we have to have an exceptional number of qualified people. But of course we had to narrow it down, and sometimes we push the envelope a little. Technically there's only 3, but we're going to be having 4 accordingly. But before I get to that, what I'd like to do first is thank Greg Stempel for working on the Wayne County Libertarian Party, chairing it, and helping to organize this event, and he printed up early, got things set up. So first thing. Second of all, so I have something, and in the past I've actually we had these go out to everybody in the party who ran for office, but the thing is that often it was hard to find the people, before the next convention came along or something to give to them. So what I did is I just printed these up to people who ran for office who are present tonight, and there's a space here for the chair of the party to sign, so sorry I'm topping that on you, but I Bill might get a little bit of writer's cramp here, because it turns out we have a surprisingly large number of candidates present. But now, so one of them here, we have Will White, ran for representative in Congress, District 8. And Will? And we have... we have Gregory Scott Stempel, ran for Congress in District 8. You're welcome. And we've got Kerry Morgan, ran for the University of Michigan Board of Regents. Nathan Allen ran for the Commerce Township Trustee. William Hall gets to sign his own. He ran for State Board of Education. And this one reads a little bit differently than the other ones, because I put one word in there that wasn't on the other ones, and the word is successful. Thank you for your year of dedication and devotion, and for your efforts in promoting the Libertarian Party and our ideals as a successful candidate for the Ypsilanti County Parks Commission. That is Tom Bagwell. And Gregory Creswell ran for Congress in the 13th District. Oh, you're welcome. Leonard Schwartz ran for Congress in the 5th District. So he's not here either. He's not here either. Okay. So I put those out there. People are present. Oh, stuff the other things in a pocket here. Well, by the way, also we have people in office in addition to Tom. Tom, stand up. Okay. He was one of 2 people who won in the general election. Libertarian. Also, we have other people who are in or have been in office. If they could all stand up. Okay, you guys got it. And so it's good to be among all of you. Now, Mr. Snyder is going to show up, just in case anyone was wondering and they hadn't noticed him. He told me ahead of time that he had some obligations early in the evening, and then he was going to be coming in a little later. So, okay, he will be here. Okay, read our notes here a bit. And I guess in the opening comments, I was trying to get us a little bit of time in here, but it looks like probably I should just move right along here. You got someone at the door? Okay.
He's on for council.
Yeah, are you ready?
I can be alien if you want, Scotty.
What do you think? Let me introduce you. Leon Drolet is he's a Michigan Republican politician, and he's known for his libertarian views. From 2000 to 2006, he served in the Michigan House of Representatives. He's also served as a Macomb County commissioner and a Michigan County commissioner from 1999 to 2000. In the 2006 election, he acted as a statewide chair for the successful Michigan Civil Rights Initiative. The Michigan Civil Rights Initiative used the petition process to place a state constitutional amendment, Proposal 2, on the ballot in November 2006. And as we know, that won by a landslide, and many of us were involved in that as well. During the final term, we celebrated that in 2006. During his final term in the state legislature, Mr. Drolet co-authored a state constitutional amendment that prohibited governments in Michigan from using their power of eminent domain to seize citizens' private property and turn it over to new owners for their private use. This proposed amendment, Proposal 4, in November 2006 election, also overwhelmingly passed. He currently serves as chair of the Michigan Taxpayers Alliance, as well as a county commission. Oh, you're no longer on the county commission.
No, I'm county commission.
And had served on the Macomb County Commission. He is treasurer of Michigan. Are you still treasurer of Michigan Recalls, or is that?
Well, maybe.
Because they voted in favor of the tax increase during Michigan's budget crisis in 2007. Of course, the most notable among those was Andy Dillon, who, while he survived the recall vote, had to face a recall vote, and definitely put a chill effect on the basic lack of respect for taxpayers' rights on the part of the legislature and himself prior to being passed. Mr. Drolet first became really popular amongst libertarians for introducing HB 5237 in October 16, 2001. That bill made it easier for a party to remain on the ballot. Prior law required to poll the needed number of votes for its candidate, who was listed closest to the top of the ballot. President in presidential election years and governor in midterm years would be the officers closest to the ballot. The bill now lets a party meet that vote test by a vote for any candidate in a statewide election, and that bill became law on May 30th, 2002. So thanks to that, we're able to, without being too scared, run people for governor and president and so on without being worried about losing our ballot rights. In 2008, he, of course, spearheaded the recall effort against Michigan House Speaker Andy Dillon. While Dillon survived the November recall vote, the effort put many Michigan lawmakers on notice. They now know that any tax increase that any tax increase will be noticed, and there will be political consequences. So, without any further delay, let me please introduce the next governor of the state of Michigan.
Thanks for the introduction, Scotty. Appreciate it, and it's good to be here with friends. It's been a pleasure throughout my career as a looter, as an elected official. You know, both in the state legislature and also the county board of commissioners, to be able to help the Libertarian Party whenever I could. And Scotty pointed out one of my proud accomplishments that I was very happy to work with the Libertarian Party on was that bill to make ballot access easier for third parties. And most of the time I spent in Lansing, I focused on trying to stop laws from passing, so there's very few that actually pushed for. And that was one of the ones that we did push for with the help of Leonard Schwartz, Scott, a whole bunch of people in this room. We were able to get that legislation passed and signed into law. And Scott, you mentioned that right now my full-time job is Michigan Taxpayers Alliance. A number of you in this room, Carrie and a number of others, helped out on our effort to recall Speaker Dillon, the Speaker of the Michigan House, after the tax increases that Lansing passed a year and a half ago. And as was alluded to, we were not successful in effort. Yet at the same time, we were successful because we did a number of things. One thing, in the farewell addresses that outgoing lawmakers make at the end of a 6-year term, the outgoing Democratic floor leader, State Representative Steve Tabachman, now gone, commented in his farewell speech. One of his regrets is that he had to spend over $500,000 of Democratic Party money to try and fight the recall effort. It would be nice to have that money, wouldn't it? Half that, but they spent over $500,000 on that. That doesn't include the money that Speaker Dillon personally raised. That's how much the Democratic Party raised. Speaker Dillon raised $122,000 to fight the recall for himself. So over $622,000 to our $40,000. It was a pretty good showing. What really damaged the effort to actually get him recalled was when we got caught up in a court battle. And the recall was scheduled for the August primary election date, and because of the court battles, got pushed to November. And we couldn't compete in a November election because there was such an overwhelmingly high number of voters. Our $40,000 gets spread way too thin. But I believe we would have been successful had the recall taken place in August, when the focus was more on state and local issues before it became a focus on national issues. One other accomplishment that the Taxpayers Alliance had, along with Libertarians and Friends of Liberty throughout Michigan, was we won those court battles. And the court battle that was most important was we won at the federal court level. It was upheld with the Circuit Court of Appeals, 6th Circuit Court of Appeals in Cincinnati, to get rid of the petition laws that were specially created to protect office holders from petition circulators. For example, if you want to petition to put a politician in office, the rules are very lax. Anybody can be a petitioner. You don't have to be even a Michigan resident to be a petitioner. You don't have to live in a certain district or a certain precinct to be a petitioner. And the petitions are only separated by county. But if you were wanted to recall that same politician, well, then the circulator had to live in a specific area. The petitions had to be separated not just by county, but by the community within that county. And there's a whole bunch of set of other rules. Well, we won in court. The court threw out those rules. The rules for recall are now the same as they are for circulating petition get on the ballot. Well, that's a big thing. The thing we did, the Taxpayers Alliance and our members and the people that helped out did, was we didn't quit and didn't go away. Now, lawmakers, frankly, are used to hearing citizens threaten their political careers. But they recognize that citizens are not professionals, and they are. Politicians are professionals. So they know that the citizen who gets frustrated and stands up in town hall meeting and says, well, I'm going to recall you, or I'm going to get you out of office, that citizen doesn't know how to really do that. They know how to go out there and vote. They don't put a sign up in their yard, but they don't know the procedures, the processes. They don't have the legal lawyers to take it to court when they get screwed by the elections board that doesn't approve their language. Well, what I think surprised the political establishment in Lansing was the fact that we didn't go away. Of course, the local boards that they were supposed to approve our recall language rejected it. We knew that. But then we filed circuit court challenges. And we won them. When we lost those, we filed court challenges at the state court levels and won those. And then when they drew out our signatures because of circulator technicalities, we went to federal courts and won that. So the Lansing political establishment is whistling past the graveyard now, saying, "Whoa, that wasn't scary. That wasn't scary," because it is scary. Now citizens can circulate petitions far easier to recall somebody, and they've shown that they can get organized and go win whatever court battles are necessary and put the Speaker of the House on the ballot for a recall. That's not supposed to happen. Citizens are supposed to be too incompetent to get that done. Now I think just stripping out those laws is a major accomplishment and showing we can go the distance. Didn't win the first battle, first fight, but we went the distance. Sort of like Rocky Balboa in the first film. We didn't win, but he went the distance. And we've shown we can do that. Scotty, you've given me a bit too long to speak here, and I told my friends at the table here that I would keep it short, but I know we've got a guest on his way, so you unfortunate people are going to hear me expound for a moment.
That's great. Too kind.
I want to share a story. This past week, Wednesday, I was on University of Michigan's campus, and I was at a Young Americans for Freedom meeting. And I was introduced to the new chair of the College Libertarians, a young man named Zach DeVozo. And Zach was at the YAF meeting, Young Americans for Freedom meeting. I said, well, Zach, I'm glad you're heading up the College Libertarians, and I'm also glad you're here at the YAF meeting. What made you decide to get involved with the College Libertarians instead of getting active with the YAF or getting active with that group? He said, well, my philosophy is libertarian. I said, well, I understand it, but 80% of the kids at the YAF meeting are libertarians too. And so my philosophy is libertarian, and I believe in the movement, and I believe the Libertarian Party is the best banner for me because it's the purest and the best way for me to advocate those things clearly without concealing anything. And that, I think, is something that you should take heart in. I think it's an example, though, of the spillover effect that the movement in the broad sense is having. This young man, Zach DeVozo, got motivated and interested in politics because of Ron Paul. And now Ron Paul, we all know what happened with Ron Paul, but the question is, what kind of spillover effect would that maybe have on the Libertarian Party? Well, I think it had a spillover effect, not just on the Libertarian Party, but the movement in general, but also the Libertarian Party for young people like Zach DeVozo. And when Zach set up his table, he told me this past fall at U of M's event where they welcome incoming freshmen, and all the political groups set up booths all around this one area of campus by the Diag. It's called Festival, and the incoming freshmen come and sign up for different clubs. They had over 2 times the number of sign-ups at the College Libertarian table this year than they had any year in their history at U of M. Twice as many that had signed up for the record of a year. Part of that was spillover from Ron Paul. They had a big picture of Ron Paul at the table. But part of that is a broader understanding of the college level of the word libertarian, something that and the broader understanding of the concept of libertarianism that's having an impact to the party and to the movement. I think everybody wins when that word becomes better understood, and I think when a word becomes popular. And certainly, that's having an effect. Whether I see more and more on Facebook pages, and heck, I was just at the North Oakland Republican Club meeting just 2 days ago, where the North Oakland Republican Club was having sort of a catharsis meeting. They brought in a panel of experts, talked about what was wrong with the Republican Party and why they weren't generating traction, why they experienced the losses they had. And increasing number of people identified themselves as libertarian or libertarian Republican. Now that's having a spillover effect there, the spillover effect into the Libertarian Party, the spillover effect on the people who don't participate in any party, so to speak, that are getting involved in politics and ideas and movements. So I think the movement, in a broad sense, is generating traction. And I think that's going to have a great spillover effect in all facets of the movement, including the Libertarian Party. So I'm very encouraged by seeing those results. Now, part of it has been helped by the Republicans, of course. One of the panelists on this panel of experts at the North Oakland Republican Club meeting, they were talking about messaging. And he stood up and said, well, we have to get back. The reason why we, the Republicans, lost, he said, was because Obama had a very positive message, change and hope, and we got away from our core message. And people are like, well, what's our core message? Well, our core message is we are individualists and they are collectivists, and we believe in individual solutions, they believe in big government. But the problem is, how could the Republican Party try to say that message with a straight face in the last election cycle? Even if they did the right thing and stuck their message, they had no credibility with it. They'd be viewed as hypocrites. And I think that's one of the reasons that young man, Zach DeVozo, didn't want to be a hypocrite. He believed in the word libertarian, the ideas of liberty, and believed the Libertarian Party was a place for him to advocate those particular views and those ideas. So overall, the next few years have given us great opportunities as a movement, and I think for the party as well. Both the destruction and disintegration in many respects of the Republican Party, the good ideas we brought forward by the Ron Paul movement that are staying alive as people are out there talking, and young people. There's nothing dorkier on a college campus right now than to be a college Republican. It's just not. So what is a kid who's not a collectivist? What is a kid who's not a socialist do. They can join up with the dorks, at the college Republicans that wear blue blazers and sit around as a greeting party for old guys that get off airplanes. Or he can get involved in the Young Americans for Freedom, the college Libertarians, or any number of groups that really channel young minds and young ideas our direction. So I think we've got a great opportunity in the next few years. I think the ideas of liberty are really taking hold, and you will end up competing for the very ideas, and I think this is healthy, by the way, that you own. Because you're going to see an increasing number of, whether it's the Republican Liberty Caucus or the Young Americans for Freedom, or other groups grabbing onto the work that the libertarian movement in general has built, both at think tanks, at activist level, at campus levels, and so forth. I think that is good. So I'm very optimistic, and with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that anybody has, and Will's got his hand up.
Leon, you were earlier talking about petitioning. I was discussing that issue in Lansing with some political people there, and there's fairly a movement among some areas to fight for a constitutional convention in 2010, which will be on the ballot. And one of their primary goals was to change the petitioning law to make it harder to do that. So, in other words, there's other things too with as far as the state election primary law is unconstitutional. We don't have one. So would you consider over the next 2 years between now and the 2010 election, the election reform and the 2010 convention, that would be the top issue politically for the state?
Well, a constitutional convention, whether the state should have one or not, is automatically on the ballot in 2010. It's constitutionally required to come up every X number of years. About 3 years ago, a blue ribbon panel of experts, meaning government class, came up with a list of ideas they think should be brought forward at the next constitutional convention. And shockingly, all these ideas took power from citizens and transferred power to government. Whether it was get rid of term limits, whether it was it's ridiculous how easy it is to get things on the ballot. The political class should be in charge of that, not citizens. One thing after another was a terrible idea. So I think that there's going to be a lot of people in the government class who want that constitutional convention. They're going to try and organize and get a yes vote for it because that's a way of transferring power to them. They will hope that citizens are too disorganized to run constitutional delegates themselves, get them elected that will represent citizen interests. The political class is well equipped to win those constitutional convention seats and try and take away many of the rights that you and others have gotten through the citizen initiative process.
That might be something we could take a hold on and organize around.
Organizing absolutely the opposition to that con, I think would be a great idea. Are there other questions?
What do you think the effect of your recall petition will have on this year's budget for the state?
Well, none of they'll admit to in Lansing. But many of you are aware that the governor, at least on the record, has said there will be no tax increases in this particular budget. Now, she is saying that, hoping that Obama, the money machine, starts cranking up. There's a bailout for the states. But I think definitely, in talking to some of my former colleagues in the legislature and so forth, it definitely had a chilling effect. Because as much as the fact that we lost that, everybody got to see what the speaker went through. Everybody got to see the petitions turned in, the articles. No politician likes having somebody going door to door in the district, much less 20 people talking about the tax increase that was passed and continued for that. I mean, it had a desired effect in Lansing. It didn't have the maximum effect we'd like we want, but it had a very desired effect, I believe, David.
Isn't he now calling for tax cuts, Dillon? No,
Dillon is calling for restructuring. Restructuring means we got to find a way to make people like paying high taxes. And it's not that they don't pay too much, their tax rate's too high. We'll just lower their income tax and raise their sales tax. No, they don't like that. We'll raise the sales tax and hike the business tax but lower fees. No, they don't like that. He just thinks there's a formula like alchemy that will turn lead to gold. He just has to find the formula and moving pieces around. So when he talks about reducing the tax burden on businesses, the 22% surcharge, note that he's also linking it to getting away from a flat income tax and going to a graduated income tax. So that's the holy grail that the legislature would love to have, is a graduated income tax. They hate the flat income tax. Any other questions? No? Well, thanks so very much. Appreciate you guys having me tonight.
Looking at the time that we're doing really good in our time, I'm thinking that since we pretty much had our meal, but there wasn't really a solid break, that maybe just take 10 minutes, and that way anyone who wants to get a drink from the bar, take care of nature, or anyone who happens to be a smoker or something like that, then take that 10 minutes break, and then we'll just, or we get up and talk to each other.
So we have a live music entertainment?
No, I'm Brad.
Hi, Brad. I'm a long time listener. We're in Oakland County.
I helped out down there years ago. I'll live right now. And a little bit to eat.
Hang in there.
Yeah, I know.
How was the drive?
Wow. There you go. Sure. Yeah, sure. We could do that too.